Hello everyone, my name is Mohammad Faizan Siddiqui, and today I am hosting this workshop which is on Python on web. So you guys might already know about the Python. It's not new. It's very old language, but previously it was mainly used for like data science, scientific computing, and also like machine learning. But Python is also very useful on web, so we can use Python to develop a web app as well. And nowadays Python is widely used to develop web applications. So in this workshop I am going to demonstrate how we can develop a fully functional web application using a Python. So for this purpose I have already created a small web application, but don't worry, we are going to see, because this is actually a hands-on workshop, so maybe you guys can follow me and pause the video, and then you can follow me to throughout this workshop and build the web application, because I'm going to do it from the scratch here, just from the scratch, create new files and everything from the scratch. So but before that I will show you the website we are going to develop, how it will look like and what are the functionalities. So I have already developed this website. uh, this is uh, this is a simple one. I haven't worked much on the CSS. In fact, there is no CSS there, just HTML and some Python code to implement the functionality. So there is no designing something, just a simple thing. But the main focus is actually on the functionality, how we can add things, edit, and working with the database and the forms, those things. So this is a simple task management, which you can see there are two menus here. My task. Oh, sorry, this one is actually, the server is not running. Give me a second. I will just start the server. Okay, actually the environment is, don't worry, I will going to show you what I am doing later, but for now I am just running the finished application to show you. Okay, now the server is running. Show you how it will be. So just this application is running on port 8081 on localhost. The application we will develop, I will point it to a different port, so that we will have both application side by side, and we will see how we can do this from scratch. Okay, so there are two links here, my tasks and the add new. So when I click my task, so this is the main page. Here we display, the heading my task, and also some of the tasks have been displayed here, which is already inserted into the database, and then we can edit them, delete them, and the add new task, when I click here, so there is a form, just a simple form. We can insert a title and then submit. So let's say I will say task 1, and then I click submit. So you see the task 1 is added, and we also capture the date. If I want to edit it, I can simply click edit, and maybe I will say task 4 and submit. So it's changed to task 4. And if I want to delete it, I can just click delete, then we will have a confirmation message. And if I click delete, then gone. So this is a simple application, and you see there is a status is also here displaying what the function has been done. So yeah, so let's start. Okay, so before going into this, I will just give you an overview of what technologies we will work here. Mainly the Python, the version I'm using is Python 3, the latest one, and the framework we are going to use is Flask. And then for the database, actually I've used the SQLite. It's a smaller version. It's a very light version, so we can use any database, but for this demonstration I just use SQLite. I will show you how to connect it. And for the ORM we will use SQLAlchemy for the in the Flask. So Flask actually have a ORM. I will show you how to install it and use it. And for the form you will see here, we will see we will use actually WTF forms to build this form. Okay, so I will open my Visual Studio Code. You can use any editor actually, but for me I'm using the Visual Studio Code. So this project is actually here in my project. I will just create another folder and we will call it task management. So I'm just going to do this from very beginning, from very sketch. Okay. So now I will open the terminal. I will open because this, if you are familiar with the Visual Studio Code have a built-in terminal here. You don't need to open externally. You can just use it. So I will open it in the terminal. So and then point it to the directory task management. Okay. So before starting, I will create a virtual environment. If you are familiar with the Python actually have a capability of creating a virtual environment so that the libraries which we are going to use in our project will not conflict with the other libraries which are installed for maybe other projects, or like the globally installed libraries. So actually it's a different topic. Maybe we will cover it later. So for this one, because I'm using Python 3, so Python 3 already have a capability of creating a virtual environment, but if you are using the older version Python 2, you have to install the virtual environment package first. But since now we are in Python 3, so Python 3 already have it, so I will say Python 3 and -m virtual environment and env. Okay. So this command will actually create a virtual environment. Actually it's just a folder. You will see a new folder is created here with a bunch of folders and then libraries here. So whatever we install, it will be installed in this environment. So now our environment is ready, and then we are going to install 3 libraries which we are going to use. As I mentioned before, like first is the pip. If you are familiar with Python, you are already familiar with the pip. Pip is actually a package manager for Python, so you can use it. It's very handy. You can use it to install the package. I will install the Flask first. Then I will install Flask WTF. This is the forms we are going to use. Install successfully. Then I will say pip install Flask SQLAlchemy. So now it's going to install. Okay, now we are good here. Let's clear the console. Okay, this is fine. Okay, now we have installed the dependencies. Now just create a simple file, app.py. This will be our main entry point. I will close this one and then okay. So now we start working on our file. First we will import the Flask. Import Flask. Okay, so by doing this we actually import the Flask, and then I will simply do app. Now we are going to create the Flask app. So we can say Flask, and then we need to pass this special variable. This is actually in you might be already familiar about this. In Python we have some variables, actually constants, which is managed by the Python. So whenever we run any script, so there is a constant name. So the value set into this constant will be underscore main. So that the script will know that the main script, when we run the main script, so this constant will be populated with underscore main. Let's see if I print this and print underscore name, save, and then I run this Python 3 app.py. Okay, I think the Flask is not okay. The problem is I haven't activated the virtual environment here. I have to activate it first. Source, because in the previous we have created it but haven't activated. So virtual environment also need to activate. If we don't activate, then actually why we have this error, because now the system is using the Python from the global. So but these packages, the Flask, we have installed on our environment, not on the globally, so that's why it didn't find it. So let's activate it. Bin activate. So actually this is just in the environment, in the bin we have this script activate. We need to run this to activate the virtual environment. Okay, now if I run Python 3, I think it's still some problem, maybe. Okay, I think we haven't installed the packages with we installed the packages without activating it. So now do it again, install again actually, form, and then the SQLAlchemy. Because the mistake I did, I create the virtual environment but I haven't activated, and then I install. So now we have activated. Once you activate, you will see in your prompt you will see this thing, environment. It means your virtual environment is activated. So see, now it's running. So we print this variable. So you see this, whenever we run this script, so under this constant we will have this value. So why I'm telling this is because then we have to run this, like I will say if underscore underscore name is equals to name, then we have to do it. Then I have to run the app, like app dot run. That's it. So in this simple thing, we have, in this simple lines, we actually create the Flask application and then run it. Whenever the script run, then we run the whenever the script is run from the terminal, so it actually runs the app, Flask app. Now let's see again. You see the Flask is serving the app, and the server is started on localhost 5000. Let's see what's there. This one is, remember, this one is 8081. This is the finished application. I am already running it. Now I will open another tab and say localhost 5000. Okay, so it's not working because actually it's working, but we have received the 404 error because the server is running, but we don't have any route. We don't have anything to display yet. You can say we just have empty server there. So you see the get request we receive, but the server returned 404 because server don't know what to return, no resource to return. Okay, so now we are going to create some routes here. So first we will create a method. It's very simple, and then I will return say some HTML. Hello world. Okay, so I create a method and it returned this HTML, actually the string containing HTML and hello world, but we have to define a route for this method to execute. So what we can do is we have to decorate this method with the app route and then provide the route URL. So now what I tell this, that whenever the route URL is / then run this method and it will return this. So now let's see what will happen. Okay, another thing what I'm going to do is I will run the app using the debug mode. So the good thing about running in debug mode is, like, whenever I have some changes, I no need to restart the server. It will whenever I change something in the file, so it will restart it automatically, but now I have to restart it first time. Okay, now I started it in the debug mode. You see it's saying the debugger is active, so debug mode on. Yeah. Okay, so now you see hello world. Okay, so the hello world is sent. We have defined the route and we send this one. Okay, another thing is, for one method actually we can define multiple routes. Like for now, if I / I do this / actually by default, then, but if I do, let's say, index, so I will have 404 error because we don't have any route for index. But let's say I want to route, if user type index, I want him to have this also. So what I can say index. So for one method I defined two routes. Now if I hit this one, you see this one, there is also hello world, and then if I have this, also hello world. Actually this and / is same. Yeah. Okay, so and another thing to note here is actually whenever we define a route, so because in HTTP we have different methods. The popular one is the get and the post. But when we define, if we don't define any method while decorating it with the route, so by default Flask use the get. So you see whenever, and actually in our browser whenever we hit a page, the server will receive a get request. So this one is actually serving a get request. So if you see, the server receive a get method, and then we return this one. For post we have to define it explicitly. That thing we will see later on. I'll check the recording is working. Yeah. Okay. So let's do another thing. Okay. Now the thing is, this we can return HTML like this, but this is not good way. The good thing is, we in the real application normally we don't do this way, because we don't have any one line of HTML. There are hundreds of lines, so we have to return a template, an HTML file actually. So what we can do in the Flask, actually Flask use a templating engine from Jinja 2, so we can create some templates. Okay, for that I can simply create a, inside my main folder I create a folder templates, because by default Flask finds templates under a folder called templates, so you have to create a folder called templates. And here I will create another file called index.html, a simple HTML file. And now what I am going to do is, I just move this here. Okay, just here. And then instead of returning this, I return this file. Actually I return the template. So for that, what we have to do is, we have to import a render template. You can say render template, and then here instead of instead of this I will return a render template, and the name I will say index.html. Okay, now let's see. Okay, there is one issue here. I think okay, we haven't installed the okay, I think okay. I think I messed around with it. Render template. Now run the server again. Okay. Okay, actually we need to install this wait, I think we need to install this. Give me a second.